Tuesday, February 20th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I'm a little later than usual, so I won't really look at the markets right now, but I want to talk about cryptocurrencies, the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, and the head of the bank, or the general manager, Augustin Carstens, aka Fat Bastard. And I don't like to give people rude names like that, but this guy deserves it. Reminds me of Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies. And he used to be the head of the Mexican Central Bank. So, we know what happens in Mexico. We know what HSBC did with the Mexican drug lords. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I've done other videos recently about the BIS, how it looted Nazi money. It helped the Nazis launder money in the run-up to the Second World War and during the Second World War, and how allied bankers, bankers like Montague Norman of the Bank of England, helped the Nazis operate during World War II, which is really amazing that this bank is still around. And this is the bank as well that publishes, the Basel rules. They've been publishing these rules and regulations and standards for international banking since 1981. They started with Basel I. And since 1988, I'm sorry. And what's been happening to the banking system since 1988? It's getting bigger and bigger and more dangerous. It almost collapsed in 2008. And now they have Basel III rules, and we're supposed to listen to these guys. And it makes me angry. And I need to let people know about this. This BIS is full of BS, I would say. You need to take the I out of it, and it's the bank of BS. But it's, earlier this month there was a story. It says BIS chief sees strong case for cryptocurrency intervention. So it says here, there's a strong case for authorities to rein in digital currencies because of their links to the established financial system. BIS General Manager Augustin Carstens, aka Fat Bastard, said. And it goes on to say, in his first major public speech as head of the Basel, Switzerland-based institution. And before I go further, I'd like to say this institution is not a Swiss institution. It's a supranational bank created in 1930 by several countries by treaty. It is based in Basel, Switzerland, but it's got nothing to do with Switzerland. It's above the law, it's secretive, and it's used by central bankers in the US and the UK as a cover for criminality and also for money laundering. And that's why it's, the other comment people, it's a comment, calling the kettle black. This is what the BIS is doing. They're talking about how cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, encourages criminals and money laundering. But if you listen to the video that I talked about a few weeks ago called All the Plenaries Men, it explains, and I'll put the link above in the cards and in the description. This video is just under an hour long, and it explains how HSBC got away with laundering billions and billions of dollars for Mexican drug cartels, and how they dealt with terrorist governments that were considered terrorists by the US, and how they got away with it through the BIS, and how the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve, the people that work for those banks, actually put on a different hat as the BIS hat, and how it gave them immunity. And all they got, HSBC, was a slap on the hand. They paid a fine, a big fine, but in the scheme of things, it didn't hurt them. They're still probably at it. So what else did this fat bastard say? So let's say Carstens argued that central banks, along with finance ministry, tax offices, and financial market regulators, should police the digital frontier. He said they must ensure a level playing field and functioning payment systems and safeguard the real value of money. Well, here's a guy saying, well, your fiat money, Mr. Carstens, has no value. Actually, cryptocurrency, at least there's some work behind it, some exercise, some use of energy and electricity, and it has a purpose. But your money, your fiat money that your central bankers issue, has no value whatsoever. It's printed out of thin air. And he goes on to say, fat bastard, Bitcoin is not a function. It's not functional as a means of payments, but it relies on the oxygen provided by the connection to standard means of payments and trading apps that link users to conventional bank accounts. If the only business case is used for illicit or illegal transactions, central banks cannot allow such tokens to rely on much of the same institutional infrastructure that serves the overall financial system and freeload on the trust that it provides. So basically saying we don't like competition, because that's what the international banking system under the BIS is for illicit and illegal transactions. That's what HSBC did. That's what the BIS allowed in 1939 or 1938-39 when the Nazis, and it's from this book here, The Tower of Basel, the Nazis invaded Sudetenland. They took over the Czechoslovakian central bank. They took over their gold reserves with the BIS and with the Bank of England. And the Bank of England allowed the BIS to transfer the Czechoslovakian gold from the BIS account to the Nazi central bank, or the Reichsbank account. And Montague Norman, head of the Bank of England, allowed that gold to be transferred. It was at the Bank of England in the BIS account, and he allowed that to be transferred to the Reichsbank account with the BIS. And the excuse he gave was that it had nothing to do with the Bank of England. He was acting as a BIS director, and that's what all the plenaries men explains, how they change hats. And it's amazing, because when I was reading this, I thought this happened in 1939, and Montague Norman stayed as a governor of the Bank of England till 1944. It's surprised. I asked myself, how come this guy wasn't arrested for treason and put in the Tower of London by Winston Churchill? And the reason he wasn't was because it was all to do with the BIS. And as I said before, the BIS is above the law. It's supranational. So that's what cryptocurrencies provide. It's competition. Am I saying that cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin should be used for drug dealing, illicit activities? No. But this is the pot calling the kettle black. So it's quite amazing. And the other thing as well, talking about stability, it's been under the BIS's watch since 1988. They've been publishing these Basel I, Basel II, Basel III. And you notice how they always have to change the number. After the next crisis, I'm sure they're going to have a Basel IV. So a bank that helped the Nazis plunder just before World War II and during World War II, a bank that allowed the head of IG Farben, which was the biggest chemical industrial company that ran the concentration camps in Germany, a bank that allowed the head of this IG Farben to be on the board of the BIS during World War II, a bank that's allowed HSBC to get away with dealing with drug cartels and foreign terrorist entities, telling the world, that they are, the know-it-all about financial stability, and that they should intervene in the cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin to make sure there's stability for the public. It's just ridiculous, and it makes me kind of angry. Such a criminal institution that's above the law and secretive. And yeah, they're not Swiss. That's the thing. So what's the best way to get rid of this BIS? I've said that before. Well, I think the best way, there's two ways really, to abolish all central banks. I guess each individual country would have to do that. Then you wouldn't need a BIS because, their clients are the central banks. Or liquidate the BIS itself, which the Norwegian delegation to Bretton Woods in 1944 wanted to do. And Henry Morgenthau, who I think was the Treasury Secretary at the time in the U.S., he said that the BIS needed to be liquidated, that they dealt with the Nazis, and that J.P. Morgan and Chase were on the board of the BIS because the Federal Reserve couldn't be on the board because politically, it was a no-no. So they sent the J.P. Morgan and Chase bankers to be on the BIS. The head of the BIS during World War II was Thomas McKittrick, and after he finished with the BIS, he went to work for Chase Manhattan Bank. So you can see who actually owns the Fed. It's those, one of the major owners of the Fed, J.P. Morgan, and J.P. Morgan Chase, also Citi, First National City Bank. And the problem was that Morgenthau wanted to go after the BIS, but then FDR died in 1945, and Truman came in, and that was it. That's the last we heard about the BIS. And then Truman signed into law the CIA, and you read about the BIS. The Dulles brothers were involved in this in the 1930s. Allen Dulles became head of the CIA. So yeah, that's the bank for the CIA. You see, that's the bank that's above the law. That's how the CIA and probably MI6 get away with their operations and their money laundering and their drugs and their arms. It all goes through this criminal bank who's trying to tell us now that cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins are a problem because, they're just good for money laundering and criminality, and that's rubbish. So yeah, I really recommend people buy this book and read about it, the BIS. Also listen to all the plenaries men video. It's really a great video. And you see how this bank is really bad news. And I'll put the link below to the link below in the description to this article from Bloomberg where Fat Bastard or Augustin Carstens, the head of the BIS, says that we need to intervene in the cryptos. I guess it's the old saying, government hates, don't steal because government hates competition. Not that I think, we should use cryptocurrency for, bad actions, but it's just really amazing, and we need to expose this bank, BIS, and that's why people need to share this video so people know who's really running our governments in the West. And also in Asia, because all the Chinese are in the BIS now, the Japanese, it's not only the West anymore. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and you can also follow me on steemit.com and on Twitter. I'll talk to you later. Bye.